Welcome to episode 12 of the Tennis Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Gianluca Sola, your host. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Tomaz Mencinger. Tomaz is a personal tennis coach in Slovenia. How I got hold of Tomaz is I've been actually using and looking at his tennis video tutorials on the web and on YouTube for many years. They're excellent. He's got a huge presence, very easy to follow. Tomaz is quite remarkable since he's the founder of fieldtennis.net, tennismindgame.com, and also on YouTube. As I said, he has a channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and some of his videos have also more than 1 million views. So he has a very large presence on the web. On his YouTube channel, I think is called Field Tennis Instruction. So you must really go and check it out. I highly suggest it. Sit back, enjoy. We had a long discussion, and he has some very interesting views on tennis, and also the second part with the quick fire questions. He also had some interesting answers there. Enjoy. Ciao. Hi, Tomaz.
Hello, Gianluca.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Very good. Bit
Very good.
rested today.
It's what, sorry?
I'm a bit more rested. I didn't have any lessons yesterday, so I feel good.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, thanks for coming on my podcast. It's a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure to be here, yes.
Thanks. So it's Tomaz. Tell me, your surname, is it Mencinger? Is that correct?
Yes, Mencinger in Slovenian way of
Mencinger. Okay. Yes. So Mencinger, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you are in Slovenia. Just a brief introduction. Tomaz is a professional tennis coach, currently living from Slovenia, and living in Slovenia.
Yes.
Small country, I would say, north of Croatia, close to Italy. Yeah. You do advanced tennis technique development for all levels of players. You've been doing it for 20 years, I think, plus minus. You've done tennis ebooks on strategy and mental game. You are the founder of fieldtennis.net and tennismindgame.com.
Correct.
And the reason I basically know of you is, from my previous podcasts, people might know that I've got a couple of sons who play here in South Africa tennis, quite competitive tennis. And a few years back, I decided to coach them myself. I'm no coach, but I decided that was the route I wanted to go and we wanted to go. And when it came to certain things of technique, I ended up going on your YouTube channel, which is called Field Tennis Instruction. And on YouTube and on the internet, you can find a lot of information about tennis, but I've just thought yours was very well explained, very simple, and I used quite a few things, and they were very helpful. Your YouTube channel, I see, is over 160,000 subscribers. You've got hundreds of videos, and some of them have even got over 1 million views. That's quite amazing.
Yes, over time it adds up.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what especially your YouTube channel, I think is one of the most comprehensive. I mean, if you are looking for anything regarding technique or the mental side or anything, regarding tennis coaching, that there's not that many that are as comprehensive as yours, I think.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to share everything I've learned, because tennis is very, very challenging game. So we must try to help players as much as we can.
Yeah. Okay. So Thomas, can you maybe just give us a brief background of who you are and why you got into tennis and why you started coaching and setting up all your websites and YouTube channels, and what are you up to now and also in the future?
Yes, well, I got into tennis through my friends when I was young, maybe around 12 years old. My parents did play tennis, but not so much, so just here and there. So I did sometimes play with my father, but it was difficult because I didn't have any lessons or training. In fact, I played a lot of table tennis as a kid, and that table tennis technique actually bothered me when it came to tennis. I had the wrong technique. And so otherwise, I was more into volleyball when I was young. I trained volleyball more seriously, and tennis was something that I did in the summer when I didn't have any volleyball training. But somewhere in the 90s, there was a big tennis boom in Slovenia. Somehow it became very popular and everyone was playing. And so I was just kind of in the middle of that boom, and my friends were calling me to play tennis all the time, and I got hooked up. I liked the game, and I advanced relatively quickly because I had already training from volleyball and table tennis and other sports, and so I improved quite well. And after a few years, a lot of friends and people started to ask me to teach them, and I didn't know how, because I just learned by myself through a lot of playing. And then in front of the mirror, I was watching Andre Agassi and other players from those times, Ivan Lendl, Boris Becker. Of course, there was no internet yet at that time, so I only had television and VHS cassette and mirror, and I modeled my strokes after them. And after that, I was just hitting hours and hours and hours every day. So that's how I developed my technique. And and then I wanted to actually know for myself if I'm playing correctly. So that's why I decided also to do my first tennis coaching certificate here in Slovenia. And once I did it, I was able to teach. I thought first I was just gonna use that knowledge for like a summer job. But then a tennis club opened in my town just that same year. And they invited me to start coaching there, and I started coaching there. And then after a couple of years, I felt that this is kind of my calling, that this is what I want to do, even though that at the time I was studying electrical engineering. So eventually I finished the university, and I finished volleyball training competition when I was 28 years old. And since then I could focus really completely onto tennis coaching. So I kept learning and educating myself through various coaching certifications and seminars and conferences and so on. And of course, the internet exploded, so a lot of information there, but it's difficult to find really quality information, so it takes a lot of time. Yes, and then once I saw the potential of the internet growing, I thought that it would be useful to share some knowledge on the internet so that I don't help only one player on the court, but maybe more.
Yeah.
Yes, so I just started with the internet, and then I got more into it because I saw that it's growing constantly. YouTube is growing, and so then it eventually, at first I had no thoughts about internet being as a business. I just saw it as a medium to share ideas. But after some
Yeah.
years, I saw that this could be turned also as on a business side besides tennis teaching. So I took it more seriously. I learned more about internet marketing and so on. And I think it's important for a tennis coach because coaching tennis is a physical thing, and you have to spend many hours on the court. And I have seen with my own eyes and experienced quite a lot of tennis coaches that eventually burned out. They spent too much on the court, too many hours on the court, too many days in a row, and they kind of burned out, like, you know, it exists in other professions, and they got very tired and so on of it. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that, you know, I've seen a few older coaches that still have to teach tennis because they have no backup, and that focus more on, I need to have a backup because I don't want to teach, you know, 8 hours per day on a court when I'm 65 years old.
And also maybe tennis is, being a tennis coach is not the most stable job as well. It's quite unpredictable.
Yes, of course. So yes, so that's when I kind of took the online business more seriously, in order to have a backup, that I don't have to teach that many hours per day on the court. So I can balance a bit with teaching and online business, and also think for the long term. So in the future, I think I can keep doing this for at least 15 more years or something like that. So there's a lot of material that I would still like to share. On field tennis, I haven't done any videos really about tennis tactics and, for example, doubles and so on. So my plan is to finish first all the technical parts of the tennis and share that, and then I will try and focus more on tactics.
Okay. No, that's great. I was just wondering, how much time right now do you spend? Do you actually coach still a lot on court, one-on-one, or in groups or whatever? Or how is your time divided between that and your online, let's say, business?
I mostly do one-on-one now, mostly with adults. I am out of the junior competitive tennis. It somehow it doesn't appeal to me anymore. I did it, and I thought I had good results with young players, but then it's not super challenging anymore to teach them, because I know I will teach them well. If I have a player for 5 years, they will play everything. They will play everything well. So of course the challenge in junior is more complex. If they want to be really good players or professionals, then that is a big problem, like, because it becomes very demanding coaching, because you have to know a lot about the mental game, the tactical game, all sorts of drills. So it's like a PhD of tennis that you must have in your head in order to.
And the expectations is probably also quite high. So the pressure might be a bit higher. Yeah.
Yes, it's very complex situation, but for me, when I was kind of looking in terms of technique and teaching someone to play, it didn't seem so challenging anymore, but when I was working more with adults, somehow my challenge became, how can I teach adults good fundamentals of technique in a few days? Because that is difficult. That is more difficult than teaching children, and you actually need a lot of knowledge in biomechanics to understand and to assess an adult player that is doing something wrong. And you have to know how to stimulate the right body parts, that they synchronize their movements. So this is my focus in the last few years. So mostly I work like one-on-one for a few days with one player, let's say about 4 hours per day. But that's not much. It's a lot of exercises that you can also see on my website and on my channel, various exercises for balance, for stability, for body rotation, for timing, and so on. So
I just wanted to ask you, sorry, do you find that adults are, how can I say, that they may be nicer to teach because they really want to learn, while juniors, you know, because they are young, their head might be all over the place, but adults come there with a real purpose?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely in this psychological part of teaching is definitely easier to teach. Yes, someone that is very self-motivated and they are paying themselves for the lesson, so they appreciate, they understand the value. With kids, it depends. If you have seriously motivated players, then that's no problem. But if they're not, then yes, you have a problem. So that was also one reason why I wanted to focus more on online business, so that I can be my own boss and choose who I work with. If you're in academy, then the academy decides who you work with, and you have no choice.
Is the online tennis business, it's a growing market by the look of it, because I see you get so many new websites and also apps now for your phone, and they link you up with professionals. They even, some of them link you up with professional players. Is it a growing market? Is it, do you think it's going to become very big?
I think the market might be growing, but not super fast anymore. I think it's a bit more evolving. I think it was growing really fast a few years ago, but now it's a bit more evolving. Of course, there are always more people on the internet plugging into internet and discovering tennis if they're interested in that. But I think it's not super fast growth anymore as it was. It's more evolving with the technology, with new websites or apps like Instagram and so on. So I think it's just modern, or let's say new online tennis coaches are going to find, I think, new ways compared to me, that I kind of set up in a certain course, let's say with field tennis 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. So I have a plan in mind and I'm executing it, but so it's difficult to constantly adapt to the changes in technology. But if someone is starting now, they might actually have a different path.
Different approach, But do you feel you can get your message across effectively online over the internet? Or I mean, obviously one-on-one is and will only be the best way, but do you think you can be very effective with online courses or teaching?
Yes, up to a point, of course. It's difficult. The challenge is for the player who is, of course, if we're talking now about a recreational tennis player who comes from some other profession, of course, he's not a tennis player or educated tennis coach. So it's difficult for them to exactly assess when they get the course, because the course is in a way one way. So I give them the information and now they have to use it. So that is the challenge for them always. How do I use this information? And so that is the challenge. And I would encourage always any subscribers or my members to email me, send me their video, like this is how my backing looks like. What do you suggest I do from your course? What is the most important stuff to do from your course? So if we do it that way, then it's much more effective if they try something, because many times also players don't know how long they should be doing various exercises and how long does it take to get results. And the answer is actually longer than you think. But you have to stick with it.
It takes a lot of repetition.
Yes.
Do you, just going back to maybe talking about tennis technique and all that, the way I look at it is that, yes, in tennis, the fundamentals are very important. But don't you think there is a tendency amongst all around the world in general to give too much importance to technique and to over-explain it? I find it just causes a lot of confusion.
Yes, there is a tendency to overanalyze and look at small details.
Because sorry to interrupt you. What I always find fascinating is I understand perfectly well that if you're like a young junior or whatever, or even an adult, it doesn't matter, that you are starting tennis, the fundamentals of technique are extremely important. But then as you get better and as you grow and learn the sport and you see these top pros, even the top 10 in the world, if you really look at them, none of them are perfect. And some of them have actually some really bad technique. So how important is that? I mean, that's, I think it's given too much importance sometimes.
Yes, that's why I focus more on biomechanical fundamentals, because those cannot be wrong, and every pro is executing them perfectly. They just have their own style in terms of backswing and grip and follow through and so on. So there's more room for personal style when it comes to the shape of the stroke, but there is no room when it comes to fundamentals and on biomechanics. You cannot play consistent tennis if your body is out of sync. And so I think the reason is kind of twofold. One is that people get too excited or too focused on these big stars. And for example, they would like to copy Roger Federer's forehand. This fascinates them. And so the demand for this information comes from players. It fascinates them. These superstars fascinate them. They idolize them too much. And then the online tennis coach simply responds to this demand, and they go in depth analyzing Roger Federer's forehand. And so then we get into this cycle where there's so much analysis of this forehand, but this forehand is basically unattainable for 99% of population, this forehand technique. And they should play with the simpler technique, right? So that is the little mess we are in, and we must just try to share our voice and bring some common sense to this community.
I've got lots of questions. I'm going to see where I can pick them. But one of them also that I'm very, let me talk about my experience and stuff like that. One of the things that also a bit fascinates me is that, with the exception of a very few players out there, you usually only have one or two really good shots, which you can call weapons. I'm talking at a good level. But then you'll also have a lot of shots that are your weakness. When you are a junior, let's say, you kind of go into training and you think, if those are my weaknesses, I must focus all the attention in improving those. But is that necessary when you look at most successful tennis players, I mean, obviously, if you look at someone like Djokovic, yes, he does everything very well. But, you know, there's a reason why he's number one in the world and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at just even in the top 100, nobody has got all the shots. So is it important to focus on a junior on those weaknesses, or is it better to say, let's just look at your 2 or 3 excellent shots and train those much more? Well, what do you think?
Yes, I think it's a common trap that young tennis coach falls into, and I also did, is that you're trying to eliminate mistakes at first and you forget about weapons. So the problem is more about that you focus too much on weaknesses and you try to eliminate them, and you spend all your time working on fixing weaknesses, and then you have no time left to develop weapons. So
yeah.
So eventually you have to learn that you have to do both, that you, of course, you have to minimize weaknesses so that they will not be exploited, but you must also focus on strength of the player and try to make it as good as you can, so that you know they can dictate the point and make points or force errors. Otherwise, you know, they will have no weaknesses, but they will have no real way of making a point and forcing an error. So, yes, it's a very good question that typically a young coach meaning less than 10 years of experience is going to fall into. They will see the mistakes they have been taught in many tennis certifications and seminars, how to analyze mistakes and how to correct them. So their mind kind of becomes fixated on these mistakes and they're just fixing mistakes. And then you try, okay, if the player has a good forehand and you want to, you know, improve that forehand even more, and you look at your watch and it's just 5 minutes till the end of the lesson. So so yes, it's important to have a balanced approach, that you minimize weaknesses and that the player has the ability to force errors and play aggressively.
Another thing, what do you think of? What are your thoughts on the use of statistics in tennis? Today, there is a lot of talk about this. There is, you know, especially in the last few years, a lot of people looking at statistics. And in a way, that also made me think a lot, and I think a lot of people think the same. One of the big statistics in tennis nowadays, on all levels, not just professional, but in under 12s, is that the point is won in less than 4 shots. So don't you think this is extremely important to then take that and think, well, if that is the case, I should be training mostly my serve, my return, and my +1 or +2, instead of rallying for half an hour on the baseline? What do you think of that?
Yes, this is a very good question, because this topic is quite interesting and sometimes controversial. So yes, the statistics is not lying. That is the actual statistics, but you have to look at it in 2 ways. How do we get to this? So another statistics that is not being told at the same time that I learned during my coaching career is that young players also make the most unforced errors in the first 4 shots. And so the goal many times, especially in European clay court tennis, is that you make a lot of drills when the player must not make a mistake in the first 4 shots. So this is something not discussed, right? So the statistics that the rally typically lasts mostly 4 shots is kind of suggesting to you that you should train attack in those 4 shots. But I am telling you that in Europe on clay courts, what you train in the first 4 shots is consistency. And
keep the ball in.
Yes, keep the ball in, get the rally started, because statistics tells us that the most unforced errors happen in the first 4 shots. So now what one must understand is that when juniors play, the reason why in the first 4 shots, so juniors meaning like 12 years old, 14 years old, and so on, the reason why the point lasts so short is because they miss. Someone makes a mistake. When the professionals play 4 shots, someone makes a point. So it's a completely different game. And the transition
that's a very good point. Yeah.
And the transition from this, not from making a unforced error in the first 4 shots to getting a winner in the first 4 shots takes 10 years. It takes 10 years of training. And the point is that the way the professional can get can finish the point with a, so let's say serve, then comes the return, and then a forehand winner or forcing shot, is because they have trained those serves and forehands so long that they became really good, because they can serve 200 kilometers an hour and they hit the forehand 150 kilometers an hour. So if you have these 2 weapons, then of course you can finish the point in 2 of your shots. But it takes you 10 years of training and a lot of repetition also on the forehand to develop such skill and precision and power in order to finish the forehand. So I think coach can misunderstand this and make young players attack immediately, the first ball after the serve, and tell them try to make a winner, because that is the way to go. But the young player is not capable of hitting a winner, so they need to play very smart and aggressive and pick big targets and wait for some years before their body develops, before they develop the skill, until that forehand is so good that it can actually finish the point. But the journey,
and that might happen more like when you are 16, 17, 18, I think.
Yes, but the journey to that particular forehand that can finish the point goes through a lot of repetition and a lot of drilling. So yes, you can go at it in the wrong way and you just make players rally from 2 meters behind the baseline, and that will not develop the mindset and forehand that can finish the point. But what I'm saying is that you will not develop a finishing forehand by asking a 12-year-old boy to try and finish the point after the return, because he will not be able to, and he's going to make a massive amount of unforced errors and lose complete confidence in his forehand. So the journey,
I agree.
The journey is, in my view, much more complex than the statistics tells us.
No, I agree. Very, very good point. You also have as I was saying, you have the tennismindgame.com, and a lot of your videos is also on the mental side. And I mean, obviously, how important is the mental side of tennis? I always remember quite a few years ago, it was either on TV or I read it somewhere, I don't remember, but Ferrero, the Spanish player, he once said, tennis modern tennis is 50% mental, 45% physical, and 5% is actually hitting the ball. What do you think of that?
Yes, there are many different, sayings from top players. I remember Boris Becker saying tennis is 90% mental. So
okay, all right.
So I see it this way. So mental is always present there. It's causing a lot of problems, or it's very challenging. Tennis is very challenging from the mental point of view, because there is just enough time between opponent hitting the ball and you hitting the ball, which is maybe about between 1.3 seconds to about 2 seconds, and that's just enough time for a thought to enter your mind and cause you to doubt or hesitate or change your mind and so on. Because, for example, let's say if you look at table tennis or maybe badminton, the rally is so fast that the player has no time to think. So they are trained into certain patterns and they play mostly instinctively. And in tennis, we do want to achieve that in the long term, but it's difficult because there is enough time to think, for one, during the ball exchange, where you get distracted by your own thoughts and emotions. And then there is also this time between points and in the changeovers where your mind can go into, various directions, negative, pessimistic, or angry, and so on. And it can,
But I mean, if you think about it, that is so, why is it that once you start thinking in tennis, suddenly 99% of the time your game suffers? I mean, why? Why is that?
Because you are interfering with the subconscious mind that is controlling your body in a very fine way, because you need very good coordination and timing to hit the ball precisely, and that is mostly done by, let's say, subconscious mind. It's not a conscious process. And when you start consciously thinking, you are disturbing that very fine, smooth, synchronized process of coordinating your body and reading the ball and timing your stroke, and then you kind of ruin that process, and then of course you're playing worse. So you need to be very careful with conscious thinking during a tennis match. It's more like instinctive thoughts of just following various patterns that you learned in training.
So basically you have to train yourself also in this aspect if you want to become extremely good. You have to train your mind to be ready for these situations. And also that obviously is training and coaching and taking time. Yeah.
Yes. Our mind is kind of very reactive and quick and notices a lot of things, and it's like super fast, and we have to keep it under control and use it as a tool instead of the mind guiding us. So
do you think meditation could help?
Yes, it could help. Yes, meditation or similar ways of calming the mind. I used myself also when I was younger, and it helped.
Okay. Yeah, Thomas, I don't want to keep you too long. I still have to get to the second part where I just throw you a million questions. But before going there was one last thing. Since you do, this is your job, so I wanted to ask you about these. I have two sons. Now, for example, so you can maybe help me here. One of them is 15. He is a left-handed player, and he hits his forehand too late. His timing is always a bit late. And the funny thing is, his backhand is incredible, is really, really, really good. And I'm not saying that because I'm the father, but he hits it on the rise, in front of him, a bit flattish, and it is his weapon. But his forehand, he hits it very late, which makes his down the line quite good, but he often doesn't get pace. It's not a very good shot. So what would you suggest for that timing? What could he do? I've tried different things, but maybe you have a better tip.
I would actually start with this, that you are aware that there are two kinds of people on planet Earth: backhand people and forehand people.
Okay. No, because that's another point. Sorry to interrupt you, but I often think it's not that it is bad. It's just that his backhand is so good that everyone tries to play on his forehand, so it looks bad. But anyway, I think he times it late. But sorry, continue.
That's also possible, yes. But what I'm saying, that from what I see after being in tennis more than 30 years is that every person, not every, but let's say 99% have a favorite side for various reasons, because of, could be eye dominance thing and other things that are in the body. So they prefer one side to another, and even if they put exactly the same amount of training into both sides, one will be better than the other, and they will have a better contact. They will hit more balls in the sweet spot and so on. So the first thing to accept is that you always have a weaker side. There were very few exceptions in the history of tennis. Maybe Andre Agassi was one of them, so he didn't mind at all whether he hit a forehand or a backhand. There was no weakness.
Djokovic.
Yes, Djokovic, but Djokovic forehand can fall apart. He has a weakness there, and it can fall apart like it did, I think, last year in the finals of ATP finals against Zverev. His forehand fell apart, and he felt it, and he stopped fighting. So he has a flaw there, and if he manages it well, and if his mind doesn't interfere, then he will be good. But the forehand can fall apart. But Agassi had no technical flaw either on forehand or backhand, and he saw the ball well on both sides. So very few players, maybe David Nalbandian, if you go back in history, was another player like that, or maybe Nikolai Davydenko, but very few players with exactly the same, power from both,
consistent power,
precision and control. So that's the first thing to know.
But then what if you had to suggest just a drill, something that we can do on court to improve that? Is there something you would suggest?
The second thing to understand is that when player feels that the stroke is not so good, they will not play it aggressively. They will subconsciously play it a bit more defensively, and defensively always means waiting longer for the ball to come closer to them, because hitting aggressively is in front. So the player, in a way, is staying in this negative loop because they are not sure about their stroke, and they prefer for the ball to come closer to them, and therefore they are late again. So that you must understand what's going on in their mind. So what I like to explain is that the player must think about intercepting the ball, not waiting for the ball. So it's more about the mental image that you must try to intercept every ball before it comes to you. So you must picture a zone, like half a meter wide zone, that is in front of you, and you must intercept every incoming ball in that zone. That's the correct mental image. If you don't have that mental image, then it's likely you will be late.
So you need to visualize it more, have a visual.
Yes, you need to visualize, or you can mark it on the ground with lines or tapes. The player stands right behind that zone, and you feed them balls, and you ask them to hit the ball in the zone to intercept it. And you can record them from the side view with the camera and see if they get the ball in the zone. So that is the way I would correct hitting the ball late. You can do various other tricks. You can throw the ball from behind them with a hand feed to make sure they hit in front. But I think it's more about mental image, and also that they are aware that when they don't trust their stroke, they will be kind of in a defensive mindset. And then they will wait for the ball, and then they will be late. So they have to get a bit more into aggressive mindset and intercept the ball in the zone.
Okay, that's good. I'll keep keep that in mind, and we will focus that
later over email. I have some videos on my channel where I explain that.
Okay. And then I've got a son that is a year older, who's 16. He instead is very interesting, because I personally think he plays well, but he has the big problem that he overthinks. So he overthinks during matches. His mind is he's a perfectionist. If he makes a mistake, it's a tragedy. He overthinks, he's result focused. And I mean, that is very, very difficult to change. What, what, what would you do in that sort of situation? I know it takes time, but
yeah, it takes time. So someone has to constantly, you know, say the opposite in practice sessions and not react. So if I'm his coach and he makes a mistake, then I don't say anything, right? I let it pass. That's actually my normal approach anyway. But the coach should not, you know, point out mistakes, but simply point out good shots that he gets kind of in this mode of thinking, different kind of thinking. So not focus on what's wrong, but focus on what's right, and keep that in mind. And in matches, it's difficult for the player that is a bit perfectionistic because they have too many options in a shot. They can't decide should they go down the line or cross court or short cross court or drop shot or faster ball or flatter ball or more topspin ball. So they have too many options to choose from. And one way to deal with that is to train patterns. So you train various patterns where you already agree in advance how he will respond to a certain ball. So you feed him a down the line shot and he already knows where to aim his next cross court from there. And then you drill these patterns a lot so that they can play automatic. And in my experience, especially women like that kind of training, and they can play really good tennis simply through patterns, not so much by creating new things like Roger Federer is, you know, able to think while he plays. But some players are not able to think, and they are much better playing patterns. For example, let's say Maria Sharapova is kind of a player when she gets into her mood. She's, you know, she won 4 Grand Slams on all surfaces, and she basically would just play very simple, predictable game, and she would overpower her opponents, even though they know where she will play the next shot. It doesn't help them. Andre Agassi was also similar in that way. Sometimes he would just make opponents run left, right until they would fall down, and even though they know where he will play, it doesn't help them. So these are kind of pattern players that you know, it helps them clear their mind and they don't think, and they just stick to something that works for most of the match, right?
I think that is the biggest difference between a professional and, say, a junior or a club player or an amateur, is that I play, but I'm a club player, and I often notice I will do things that are not necessary because I play for having fun. So I do the impossible shot. But I know that if I stick to certain patterns, and a junior, you try to explain to him, if you've got a game, stick to your patterns that work. The problem is they might stick to the pattern once, twice, they win 2 points, then the third point they lose it, and suddenly they immediately think, well, this is not working, so they change. While it's not true. They are actually still winning the game. And I find that, you know, is very difficult to train. It will just take a lot of time and repetition, and you have to have the right mindset.
Yes, it takes years. You know, it's also young mind is very active, and it doesn't yet have a good grasp of, if you tell them about statistics or probabilities, they can't really deeply understand what you mean, and they can't see it. So it takes years of, you know, the same approach that in time changes their approach. So it's a long process, but it is successful process. You just have to stick to it and wait for the mind to calm down, for the player to mature, to not be so childish anymore, and then things will change.
Thomas, I usually try and keep everything around about an hour, so I don't want to keep you too long. If you right now, I wouldn't mind doing my quick fire. I'm gonna give you a whole lot of questions. Try and keep them as short as possible. It's just to find out more about you and what you'd like to do. But actually, just before that, one other thing I wanted to ask you: how is tennis now in Slovenia? Is it quite popular? Are the kids taking to it, or is it a sport that is a bit in decline right now?
Yeah, I think it's quite popular. I think in junior competitive tennis, it's about holding the same level for a few years. But I see in recreational level that it's quite popular. The courts are booked in the afternoons, in the nice hours. So
Okay.
yeah, it's very positive. I'm glad to see that people prefer to move on a tennis court than using their iPad at home.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Okay, so what is your very first memory of tennis?
My first memory of tennis is probably playing with my father with a heavy wooden racket, and it was very difficult.
Okay. What age were you?
Probably 12.
Okay. Currently, do you still play? Do you do matches, or do you not
No,
really?
I don't play matches anymore for about 15 years or more. I just hit balls.
Okay. Just it was. If you have to define what type of player you are, how would you define yourself?
I was more of an all-court player. I would come
Okay.
to the net a lot.
Okay. What's your best shot?
Serve.
Okay. Are you quite tall?
No, I'm 180 centimeters, so not that
Oh,
tall.
okay.
But I played volleyball, so the move comes very natural to me.
Yeah. Did you have a tennis idol growing up?
Yeah, Andre Agassi when I was about the same age.
Okay. Currently, is there any player, male or female, that really excites you, that you really like watching?
Yeah, Roger Federer.
Okay. And of the younger people, is there anybody that really impresses you?
They are very impressive in terms of their skills, like their physicality, their technique. But I don't see yet anyone with such imagination or super high level skill that Federer has. So I'm still waiting for the next legend to come up.
Okay. If you have to list the big three, I think I know which is the number one, from favorite to least. So Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, how would you list them?
Least favorite, you mean in terms of
for yourself, who's your favorite from the big three? If you have to list them.
Hard to say because they are all amazing in they are amazing in their skills in whatever approach they have. So to me, the most interesting to watch is Federer because he's going to do something unpredictable here and there. And Djokovic and Nadal are more kind of statistical players, so they play more predictably. So it's not so interesting to me in terms of that. But of course, their shots are amazing. So it's hard for me to put them. So I would say Federer 1 and Djokovic and Nadal are splitting 2 and 3.
Okay. What is the best match you have ever seen? It could be live on TV. It could be even a junior club level. Is there one that really you remember as the best match you've ever seen?
I remember one match in terms of, yes, can I give you two?
Yeah, two's fine.
I remember one match, Agassi Sampras US Open final, when there was 4 tiebreaks in the final. And statistically, that was one of the best matches because the ratio between winners and unforced errors was extremely high, which means they were making very few unforced errors and hitting a lot of winners and forcing shots. And they were able to play like that for 4 sets, and they were all 7-6. So I remember that match. And another match that I really liked in terms of quality of tennis and the tension was the finals of the Masters between Federer and Nalbandian, which Nalbandian actually won. And the score in the 5th set was going up and down. It was like a drama, incredible drama. and
Okay.
everyone was then expecting Federer to win, but he lost. So that was also
Okay.
fantastic match.
Okay. Okay. Which is your favorite tournament in the world?
Maybe hard to say in terms of watching on TV. Of course, the Grand Slams are amazing, but I've had the luck to attend all of them, and I kind of enjoyed the most Australian Open in Melbourne.
Okay. Why is that?
I think because there were not so many people as there are in, let's say, Roland Garros or New York. It's maybe because it's too far for most of population. And second, it was very, very nicely organized and clear, and you could find your way around that very easily and very neatly organized with nice colors and everything. So really nice tournament.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to go there too. Do you have a favorite court that you've played on or coached on, or a favorite club?
I can't really say. I enjoyed a few situations. I used to work in Thailand, for example, 1 year in a tennis academy, and that tennis academy facility was absolutely fantastic. So that was incredible to work there.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think tennis is the most difficult sport in the world? Or do you think there is? You do? Okay.
I think it's the most difficult sport in the world, yes.
Because of the combination of everything you need to do.
So I usually give like example like this. It's the most difficult sport for a person, let's say an adult that starts tennis. And if they haven't trained a sport where balls are involved, some sport with balls, and they haven't had exposure to balls in childhood and they come to tennis as an adult, they will absolutely suffer in tennis. It will take them very, very long time to hit 6 balls from the baseline. But if
I'm trying to coach to teach my wife playing, and it's quite difficult.
Yes. So, but if you take like, let's say, normal non-trained person to play any other sport, they can play it. Of course, not successfully, but if you take them to a basketball court, they can play. You can put them to a football court, they can play football. Of course, they don't score goals, but they play. You can give them table tennis, they will play. You can give them badminton, they will play. Of course, not well, but they will play. But if you put them on a tennis court, they can't even play. So that is very, very difficult. It requires very good coordination of the body and very good ball judgment just to hit 6 balls over the net from the baseline.
Yeah. If you have to book a restaurant and invite 3 players, male or female, which restaurant do you book and which players do you invite?
Okay, I would book some seafood restaurant, and I thought it would be interesting to talk to some legends. So like Andre Agassi, definitely, Roger Federer, and maybe from women's side, maybe Steffi Graf. Okay.
And this seafood place, have you got one in mind? Is it maybe in your country or?
Yes, it's in my country next to a tennis stadium in Portorož. So Slovenian people will know which one I mean.
Okay. And it's a very good restaurant.
Yeah, it's good restaurant.
Good. And who would pay the bill? Will you pay the bill or
I think,
will you split it?
I think Roger would pay the bill.
Roger, yeah, he's got enough money.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food? Do you have a favorite food?
Yes, I could say like generally I prefer like fish type of food. Yes.
Okay.
Seafood.
What's your favorite pizza topping?
Pizza bufala.
Just with mozzarella.
Yes.
Okay. Good, because when they answer pineapple or avocado, I usually cut the interview immediately.
Yes.
And do you have a favorite country to visit, except your own country, obviously?
Yeah, hard to say. Last few years I'm exploring a bit more Europe. I used to be in Asia a couple of times through tennis, endeavors, but I would like to explore more of Europe. So it's hard to say which one is favorite. I like to go to Italy, for example, because of their amazing pasta. So if I have to pick one, I'll pick Italy.
Okay, and it's not too far from you.
Yeah, it's not too far, yes.
Yeah, what do you think, how do you think tennis will look like in 30 years, in 2050?
Yeah. Yeah, I think in terms of technique, not much can change, because I think the players are physically at their limit what they can achieve, because they are being trained now very seriously, even like from 7 years old, under professional guidance of coaches that focus on coordination and balance and so on. So I think in that way not much can change, but I'm afraid they're gonna wear very strange clothes with very shiny colors, and I am afraid a bit that they might change the rules in a way to please the audience that is not educated in tennis and please the media and the television, and then it's just going to become more entertaining type of sport rather than the mastery of mind.
I think that is already happening now to an extent.
Yes, it's already starting.
It's already starting.
Yes.
Okay, now you must complete your perfect player. You can choose male or female any time, any era. The serve.
The serve, I would say Pete Sampras.
Okay. Return.
Return, Andre Agassi.
Forehand.
Forehand, I would take Andre Agassi again, if I can.
Yeah. Backhand.
Backhand, I would take Wawrinka.
Okay. Volley.
Volley, I would take Stefan Edberg.
Yeah, he's very popular. Drop shot.
Drop shot, I would take Fabrice Santoro.
Yeah. Movement.
Movement, I would take Michael Cheng.
Okay, that's interesting. Mentality.
Mentality, I would take Boris Becker.
Why is that? That's interesting.
Because he was...
No, I tell you why. Nearly 99% of the people choose Nadal, and if it's a female, Sharapova or Serena.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're all legendary, but to me...
But why Becker?
When Boris Becker was at his best, he was so confident, of course, to the point of arrogance. But he was not afraid of anyone, and he had no doubts in his skills or his ability to win the match. So that to me was impressive. I remember those moments, like when he played Sampras, for example. So even if he lost or something, he was so incredibly confident, and nothing would shake him off when he was his best. Of course, he has his bad moments when he lost his temper and then lost matches. But I remember those times when he was like, I'm going to win this match and nothing will stop me, and you could read that on his face. So that's why I remember. Style of playing?
No, style as in look and fashion and how they look.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of choice. I think Roger Federer has a very nice had very nice changes of his clothing style. Like in a single year, everything was perfectly matching always. So I thought that was really nice, not too shiny.
And the last one, personality.
Personality, yeah. You can look at it two ways in terms of kind of respecting the person. So I think here Nadal and Federer are amazing personalities in terms of how they behave themselves in a, you know, in a match, very respectful, and you know, they many times they get these awards for Player of the Year.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we should try to respect more that and focus more on that than on the entertaining type of personalities that, you know, are entertaining non-educated tennis people. So I don't want to give names, but maybe people focus too much on that and not on the mastery of this sport.
Okay. Okay. The last question, and before we finish everything, is you must ask yourself a question and answer it.
In relation to tennis?
Yeah, or, well, no, anything. It can be anything.
Tough one. So
yeah.
Maybe a question that kind of was bothering me for a while, let's say, because I told you there are two kinds of people, like forehand and backhand people, and I'm the forehand, naturally more forehand type of player. So I used to have this question in mind when I was younger for quite some years: why can't I make my backhand as good as the forehand? And I put a lot of work into my backhand, but I couldn't match my forehand skills or feel or something like that. So that was my question for a while in my mind, until I came to the point when I accepted it, that it's going to be a weaker stroke. And when I accepted, so my question was, why is my backhand not so good? And the answer is, you have to accept that it's never going to be the same as forehand. And when I stopped bothering myself about my backhand became much better, actually.
Okay. That's a good question. So would you say that is something I should maybe also discuss with, say, my children, if they've got a weaker side?
And you can show them, for example, like Roger Federer is the type of player with an amazing forehand, and he can hit amazing backhand, but that's not his stroke. So you can see that he doesn't even try to, you understand? So he accepts when the ball is coming to his backhand, he accepts, okay, this is my weaker stroke, so I will try not to do anything stupid or spectacular. I'm going to play the ball back deep.
So
and I'm going to
just accept that you're going to have a weaker shot or a weaker side. And
yes, weaker doesn't necessarily mean you will keep missing the strokes, right? You are not going to hit 3 points. You have to make your stroke strong enough that it's consistent like a wall, and that no one can really exploit it. But in a way, the player feels kind of a weakness. So when you accept it, that's how it is, and I'm going to play with it, then...
So sorry. So somebody like me, who every shot is very bad, must I just accept that I'm very bad?
You can accept that you cannot reach perfection. Accepting doesn't mean you give up. You understand? It doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting the reality, and then you work on your strokes and you accept that they will gradually improve, right? And that is a better mindset in a match than being constantly worried or negative about your strokes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it, Thomas. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. I think we could have also talked a lot more, but we've gone just over an hour, so I don't want to keep you. Maybe we'll speak again, but I would just like to thank you again for your information, also through your websites,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's very well done. So yeah, thanks again, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
yes. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on the show and being allowed to share my ideas.
Okay, excellent. Okay, have a nice day.
Yes, likewise. Bye bye.
Okay, ciao, ciao, bye.